own a site that gets US traffic, then what you don't know could cost you $50,000. Stephen Brown here. I want to take a moment to talk to you about something very important to anyone who has a website that gets traffic from the US. I'm talking about accessibility. There is a law that was passed quite a few years ago called the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's commonly known as the ADA. The law deals with requirements for making public resources available to those suffering from disabilities such as blindness, seizures, or epilepsy. Really, basically any physical disability that prevents someone from doing things as most others can. When most of us think of compliance to this law, myself included until very recently, we think of things like wheelchair ramps for places that have stairs and things like that. In fact, the ADA covers far more than that. Like what, you ask? Well, how about pretty much the entire internet? According to the ADA standards, anyone who creates a site that targets U.S. residents is responsible for making sure that the site is fully accessible. Not complying with Section 508 of the Department of Justice's ADA standards for accessible design could expose your company to hefty fines, the risk of expensive criminal and civil litigation, and bad reputation with the disabled. Websites that do not meet WCAG 2.1 AA accessibility standards can be fined up to $50,000 for an initial violation and up to $100,000 for a second, plus the possibility of paying even more for any compensation of damages awarded in a court case. Unlike the GDPR, where you're notified of a violation and given a chance to comply before you are fined, the ADA fine for a first offense is non-negotiable. No warning, just a notification that you're in violation and have been fined. If that alone isn't enough to motivate you to become compliant, then how about the potential revenue you'd be missing out on by ignoring 1/5 of the total U.S. population? According to the Center for Disease Control, CDC, 1 in 5 people living within the U.S. have some sort of disability. Several big brands have already been sued because of accessibility issues with web-based content. Now that's really a shame, because there's an awesome resource available to all site owners that can solve the problem with ease. Userway.org has produced a widget that works with all major content management systems, and even on HTML sites, to instantly make your create a free account on their site. Then grab the appropriate widget for your site. Let me show you just how easy this is for WordPress users. In order to begin, you need to start by going to userway.org. That's userway.org. Then once you've arrived at the site, you'll see up at the top a link with a button that you can click to get the widget. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now the first thing they're going to want to know here is the address of your website. So add that, and then you simply need to agree with their EULA terms of service, privacy policy, and cookie policy. And one of the things I love about UserWay is that they retain absolutely no information on the users. No hard data other than simply an email address to identify you. So in and of itself that's very minimal risk that you have to go through in having personal information exposed. And as of my knowledge, they also have their user base encrypted, so adding another layer there. But at any rate, you simply need to click on the agree and then simply click on next. Now, as you notice, it will put up a notification about the WordPress plugin. However, it doesn't do you any good at this point because you need to register first with UserWay before you can add the plugin, which will take care of the further installation and implementation for you. So go ahead and add your info. And then you can add your email address in there. I'm simply going to add the one that I already have. This is an account that I already have created. And then here you can do adjustments as the type of icon that you want to use with it. And simply you can either skip the customization or go through it. And then you can also choose the size later if you like. And then the final step is to choose a color. If you like, once again, the default is fine. Here you have options for where to place the widget. And then you can simply go on. And then you simply easiest thing to do here is just to select the auto detect language, and then if you click on next, at that point it's going to ask you if your website has an accessibility statement. If not, they do help you out with that. on there. I'm going to go ahead and leave this ticked by default, and we'll click on next. And then you also have, for $10 a month, you can get a white label or a custom branded version of the widget. And however, that's not necessary, so you can simply click on not at this time and then go to next. And then at this point, if you have an HTML site, you can simply take the select the script here, copy it, and at that point simply add it to the head of your section of your HTML pages, and you're good to go. You can go on to verification after adding the script. Now for WordPress, we've got a little bit different approach. So we're going to go to my WordPress site here that I'm installing it on, and we're going to click on Add New Plugins. Then we simply need to type in user way. And here we have it, the accessibility widget by user way. And then go ahead and click on install now. And then activate that plugin. Go to settings and user way to link that to your account. And then save changes. And you are good to go. So at this point, if we visit our site home page, and here we go. And as you can see, we've added the accessibility menu here. If you click on that, it will give you a selection of different accessibility features that you can use. And then if you look down here to manage, it will allow you to log in, address, or email address and password, log in, and then at that point you can manage any of the things such as the particular icon you're using, the color of the widget, where it's positioned, all those things. But I don't need to change anything, so I'm just going to go ahead on and then close this. And at this point, your site is basically protected from accessibility issues, provided you do your part. There are some things that this widget cannot do for you. For instance, if you sell physical items on a site and you are required to provide descriptive alt text for any product images that you're using, and failure to do so, the plugin can't This widget cannot save you from that. That's something that you physically have to do with all the images on your site if you want to be compliant. And once again, just if the possible $50,000 fine isn't enough to motivate you, then think of all the potential customers, 1/5 of the U.S. population, that you're missing out on. But as you can see, this is super simple to do. Might require a little background work from you if you have a large number of images on your site, especially if they're product images, but in the end, more than worthwhile for your efforts. Okay, to take care of your accessibility statement, simply go ahead and once you've okay, to get your accessibility statement, all you need to do is go ahead and click on either verify or skip here. It's going to get you to the same place basically either way. Just take a little longer to verify. So I'm going to skip that. And then here's our accessibility statement for our site. Now, this comes in two forms. This is the HTML version, which you can copy and add to the source side of the WordPress visual editor, or you can also choose the clean text version, and then you can simply go ahead and select all that, and then go ahead and click on copy. Then at this point we'll go back to our site here, and then at that point just click on add new to create your new page, and then you can simply paste your text in there, and as you can see, using this version, it's not going to give you any uppercase. Now, if you choose to use the, in other words, no caps or like headings of any sort. Now, if you choose to use instead the HTML version, then you simply select all this text and then click to copy. And then we'll go back to our WordPress site here, and we'll just go to the text side, and then we'll select all of this text, which would not be here if I hadn't already pasted it in the other version. And then we're simply just going to paste that right in. And then now, if we switch over to the visual side, you'll see we have nice titles in there as we're using the headings on that. So now at this point, you can go ahead and save your draft. You can also do this with a paragraph in WordPress by selecting to edit it with the classic editor. However, I can't guarantee, because there are some glitches in that sometimes. Links to pages do odd things and make them not work, so I would probably use the classic WordPress editor for creating your accessibility statement. But at this point, let's go ahead and take a look at our page. And as you can see, we now have a up-to-date accessibility policy. So, this is Stephen Brown, and that's how to get your sites accessible.